Hey everybody, welcome back to James Draws Everything, and this is James. You already knew that. Today, drawing every country in the world's flag like we do, and going back into Europe, and we're going to be doing the country of Bulgaria, right? So Bulgaria kind of on the bridge in between like Europe and the Eastern world, like Turkey, kind of has ties to the Ottoman Empire, so it's an interesting place, right? A lot of mixed kind of culture and heritage there, right? So from those European and Ottoman kind of roots that it has. So let's get down to it and draw the flag, and I'll give you a little bit of history of Bulgaria. So the Bulgars, where the name Bulgaria comes from, it's a Central Asian Turkic tribe, and they kind of mixed with some of the Slavic inhabitants of Europe over the years, kind of creating like their own identity and their own culture. And they kind of had some power plays with the Byzantine Empire, like in ancient times, just trying to assert their control over the region. And the end of the 14th century, kind of as the Ottoman Empire is really gaining strength, they take over Bulgaria. So Bulgaria becomes part of the Ottoman Empire for a few centuries, and they receive some internal autonomy in the late 19th century. And then they become independent from the Ottoman Empire in 1908. So this is kind of where Russia comes into Bulgaria's history. So Bulgaria's always had some pretty friendly relations with Russia, which kind of dovetails into their Soviet days, but that gets a little more complicated. I'm jumping ahead of myself, though. We'll get to that. So yeah, in one of the Russo-Turkic wars, Russia kind of helped Bulgaria with that. So Bulgaria, always kind of felt a loyalty to Russia from bringing them out from under Ottoman rule. Bulgaria is involved in World War I, and they're on the losing side of that. World War II becomes a little bit more complicated. Bulgaria, they are a part of Hitler's tripartite pact, but I wouldn't call them neutral. But they weren't involved in a lot of the atrocities in World War II. For example, in Operation Barbarossa, right, when Germany finally said enough is enough and made their move on the Soviet Union. A lot of other states in the German orbit did as well. Bulgaria really didn't, though. And Bulgaria also didn't participate in some of the activities as far as like the ethnic cleansing, right? As what was going on during World War II. They did end up saving actually like a lot of their Jewish population. And at the end of World War II, they're behind the Iron Curtain. So basically, the Soviets are given a free rein to basically model this country in their image. And Bulgaria, thinking that, they were on the Russians' good side, right? They weren't really aggressive towards the Russians during World War II, or at this point the Soviets, right? Russia, Soviet Union. I know it seems like it's the same thing. It's really not, though. You're kind of talking about two different things there. So they thought, they would take it easy on them because, like some of the atrocities, like in Czechoslovakia, Poland, and all these other countries, Hungary, they were brutally slaughtered and put down by the communists before they installed their puppet governments in there. Bulgaria, right, since they weren't aggressors against the Soviet Union, maybe thought they'd have it easy, but no, they didn't. So you kind of have like not a civil war, but you have two factions here. You have the existing king, King Boris III, and this guy Dimitrov, right? And Dimitrov was the communist boss in Bulgaria, and he spent a lot of time in Moscow as well. They're saying that King Boris gets toppled, right? So the USSR moves in and basically takes over like 75% of the country, right? So much for fighting to free the world for democracy and all that, when you put half of Europe into Stalin's hands. And Churchill, the West, despite guarantees to some of these countries, they didn't lift a finger. Probably about 30,000 people died in September 1944 alone in Bulgaria, and they got their puppet government in there with Dimitrov pretty quick. So yeah, there's massive casualties. And Bulgaria, they sped up their communism, right? So Stalin had like 5-year plans, right, to because if you're familiar with like the history of communism, like especially earlier on under Lenin, it just didn't work, right? So they had to say, okay, well, we're going to allow a little bit of capitalism, like in farming and maybe some other things, but here's our 5-year plan to for when we eventually collectivize agriculture and all that. Well, Bulgaria had 2-year plans. So of course, right, everybody starves, right? There's no industry in Bulgaria. The country falls, pretty deeply into poverty, labor camps, collective farms and all that. So yeah, Bulgaria was not a good place to be under communism, because they were more Stalinist than Stalin in some ways. So just very brutal, oppressive regime. And it stays that way until the fall of the Soviet Union in Bulgaria. So later on during communism, we're talking about late 70s, early 80s, Bulgaria kind of tries to put like a friendly face on it, which of course is always attractive to Western intellectuals and Marxists. So they had a fairly charismatic female leader there. I don't believe she was a politician, but Ludmila Zhukova, and she basically organized like a lot of schools and culture fairs in the capital of Sofia, right? And this attracted I think Ray Charles performed there, Tina Turner. So they tried to put communism out there, but just like the cultural aspects and not the the Marxist economics. So it's like, oh, this is like a great place for women. Look at all these rights we have for women here, as far as divorce and abortion and things like that. And yeah, so they tried with that. But, the funny thing about that, too, is that, this country can't even produce diapers, right? So, they can talk all they want about, how glorious this stuff is. But, again, that stuff only appeals to, these academic utopians. And when it's actually in practice, these people are starving to death. It just doesn't work, right? So, Bulgaria, they end communism in 1990, right? So, communism has already, shown that it doesn't work by that point. So the Soviet Union collapses, and Bulgaria, kind of just goes with the flow there. They have their first multi-party elections, since they were taken over in World War II, and start moving towards democracy and market economies. But still a lot of scars, right? You still have a lot of inflation, unemployment, and corruption from communism. They still kept their socialist party too. So basically, the Communist Party in Bulgaria just renamed themselves the Socialist Party, and yeah, so you can't really just rename something and keep doing the same things. They have made some improvements since then, like, so, you know, they've joined NATO, the EU, and, you know, they're involved with a lot of, you know, European trade agreements and things like that. But yeah, it's one of those countries where, you know, the scars of that still kind of show. It wasn't like a total reversal like a lot of like the Baltic states were, where they really, you know, embraced like, you know, free markets and stuff like that. So, but we'll see what happens with Bulgaria. And the flag, it's pretty simple, right? So it's another tricolored flag. So you got the white, the green, and the red. And it's kind of like a play on the Pan-Slavic white, blue, and red. And they're substituting those colors. They substitute the blue with green. So the green represents freedom in this one. And pretty easy flag, right? So we'll give you a little something extra because Bulgaria, they used to have their coat of arms up in here. So we'll just do that, right? Because we like cool looking flags here. And let's just draw that Bulgarian coat of arms, because it's got a cool little lion on it with a crown. Just move that ruler out of the way. Yeah, so all of these, you know, European countries used to have pretty neat stuff like this, right, in their flags. And then French Revolution, Napoleon, you know, the move towards having these quote-unquote rational nation states, these rational flags. They kind of get rid of all this old tradition, which I don't think is an improvement. I like these older designs. Okay. And I believe they still use this in like their naval ensign, but it's no longer in the flag. This has got another paw stretching out here. Yeah, so Bulgaria too, as I'm doing this, right, they have, just due to their geographic placement, right, they have a lot of history with, like, Turkey and Russia, right, so European by definition, but their ties are probably a lot closer to, like, the Eastern world. You know, because their people kind of share that heritage too. Okay, he's got some things coming off his tail here, or his feet. And let's just draw that tail. Yeah, so they still did have a monarchy, you know, up until the communist period when Boris was overthrown. Okay, and then just to complete it, it's got a couple little these swirly things around it. kind of loops around the bottom. And it just kind of connects on the top. Alright, and then we can color it while we're here. Yeah, it's not too much to talk about with this one, guys. Just filling the time, I guess. But we're pretty close to getting there. Almost through Europe. Let's see, I'm trying to think in this region what we still got to do. I know we still got to do Hungary. We still got to do Austria. Right, and I think whenever we do Austria, I'm going to take that opportunity to talk about the Habsburgs and their dynasty. That's probably the best opportunity we'll get for that. But yeah, I think we're almost done with all the Soviet satellite states, all those former Soviet republics. Still got to do Germany, right? That's a big one. So I don't know, maybe put in the comments which European country you want to see next, or which country in general, either or. You know, this one is actually a request. So somebody did request Bulgaria, and I'm giving it to you because that's what I do. Okay, so there's the red. And then the rest of this is just in yellow. So these things on the outside. And right, that looks a lot cooler, right, if that was up in the flag. Definitely see that on, you know, some medieval knight's shield. Right, that coat of arms. Once you know Bulgaria is in town, when you see that on the troops. Alright everyone, so that is Bulgaria. So that's the coat of arms, that's the flag, and then this here used to be kind of up here in that white. So let me know what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next video.